Ted Benna is the founder of the Radish Plan, but he's also known as the father of the 401k. Mr. Benna, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, for sure, Corey.
I wonder if you could just give us a little bit of history. Tell us about the 401k and what you saw in the tax code several years ago that inspired you.
Well, it's coming up on 50 years pretty soon. Actually, what happened, the creative parts that I did was add to a section of the law, that was passed in 1978. Corey, the paragraph K that was added to section 401 of the IRS code was only a page and a half long. That's all there was to it. Wasn't intended to be a big deal. The reason it became a big deal was that what I saw opportunities for it that were not originally intended in the legislation. So I'm the one who had the idea of adding an employer matching contribution so that there would be more employees who would be interested in participating in it. So they could, in addition to getting a tax break, get money from the employer if they contribute to the plan. The other piece that I did was the idea of allowing employees to make pre-tax contributions to the plan themselves, because the original intent of the law was it would be employer money only. No employees putting money into it. And back in that era, the idea of employees saving for retirement was just a totally strange thing. It wasn't something they did.
So what inspired you to say, hey, employees should be doing this and preparing for retirement?
I was actually doing a consulting assignment for Suburban Philadelphia Bank, Cheltenham Bank, and they wanted to redesign their program without getting into details, and I knew this was the best way for them to be able to do it. And in order for the plan to work, I knew they had to be able to get the lower paid employees to contribute to the plan, Corey. And, that's, when the idea of adding a matching employer contribution occurred to me, so that I could go out and explain to the employees that if you put money into this, you're going to get a tax break, but you also get some additional money from the bank. Strangely enough, they turned it down at the time because their attorney didn't want them pioneering something that had never been done. We did it for our own little company up in Newtown, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. That became the first plan in the country. Started in 1980. That was the first plan.
Right. So the IRS then changed things to suit your idea, right?
Well, the Treasury Department had to issue regulations, that were the backbone to the law. And I had the opportunity to engage with the guy who was drafting those regulations and explain what we were doing. And we didn't know. The proposed regulations didn't come out until late in 1980. And until then, we weren't certain, whether or not they were going to align with the design we come up with, but fortunately they did.
So talk about how that has changed and evolved over time. What happened to your baby? What your concept of the 401k, how has it changed? And is it better or worse than what you thought it should be?
Well, I'm asked often whether I'm disappointed, and the answer is no. It's helped, millions of American workers accumulate during that time period, probably $15 trillion or so, that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And I've had many who have retired and said, hey, we wouldn't have been able to do this otherwise. And the other thing, Corey, that it did is it helped turn spenders into savers, by taking money out of their paycheck first and saving it, rather than hoping that they had something left at the, at the end of the month, when they were done with their spending. And that became a really big deal. I had many young employees say, hey, I'd have never accumulated this money on my own otherwise. So that's the positive. Kind of shifting to where we are today. I mean, 401k was designed and it worked well, for middle income employees. But we're in a different time frame, and what's happened, and the reason I'm shifted into a different direction here is that many middle and low income employees, and there are just millions of them, who aren't able to afford to take money out of a paycheck, even if they have the opportunity to do that. They don't have it. It's not something they're capable of doing.
So how does the Radish plan differ from a traditional 401k?
First of all, legally it's a 401A plan, so it's a different type of 401. And first major difference, it's totally employer funded. So the employees get money without having to take anything out of their paycheck. And the way it's designed is the employer, because it's covering mid and low income employees, it's not covering, the owners and the top paid. The plan can be designed any way they want to design it. So it's extremely flexible. Rewards can be given for just every day of employment. We have an employer adopting a plan January 1st, for example, that one level employees will get 5 radishes every day, another one will get 4. And they also can get more tied to performance or profits or whatever, safety. I mean, it could be designed, however the employer wants to do it. And, it makes it extremely exciting. And the other thing, the monies are more accessible to employees than they are with a 401k. So, if they need to withdraw $500, $600, to buy new tires to be able to get to work, or, have emergency medical needs or whatever, they'll be able to pull money out of the plan. That doesn't have to go through a approval process.
So who is making the contributions?
Well, the employer is. It's all employer funded. So what happens, we've also built an app that on a smartphone every day participants can see the number of radishes accumulating. And you go, oh, wow, look at this. And so what happens is at the end of the month, the employer actually makes then a cash contribution, $1 for each radish earned. And it goes into a money market account, and begins to earn around, 5%, growing on it. And so what we're getting, the idea here is to enable individuals who have never had an actual investment account begin to actually have money in an account, that they're seeing growing. And we chose the radish name because radishes grow fast, they root, they have long root, they're easy to harvest, and the colors are pretty. Plus it's easy to brand.
What's in it for the employers? You say they're the ones making the contributions, but the employees reap the benefits. So what's in it for an employer? Why would they be incentivized to do this?
Well, there are many different ways employers are looking to help retain or to recruit employees and keep them on board, reward them in unique ways and so forth. And so this provides that kind of an opportunity. We've talked to a number of employers. One of them yesterday was a large group involving teachers, and they were very excited about being able to use this for teachers. So one of the benefits to employers is that rewarding employees, maybe increasing longevity and making them feel better. But the employers, if they have under 100 employees and do not have a retirement plan, they can get up to $5,000 in federal tax credits to pay for the cost of setting up a plan, and they can get up to $1,000 per employee to actually contribute towards the plan, as a federal tax credit. Now also, employer contributions that they make themselves are not subject to FICA, unemployment, and workman's comp, so they have that benefit versus giving them a bonus or other rewards that might be taxable as compensation.
And you mentioned that if they do withdraw, it would be tax-free?
No, it's taxable to the
Or
employee.
penalty-free?
Will be taxable to the employee, yes. At that point, they'll pay tax when they take it out.
Right. What are the fees like associated with this as opposed to, say, a normal 401k?
Similar, but they're going to be paid, they're going to be paid by the employer. The big difference here, one of the things, unfortunately, Corey, that's happened with 401k is many years ago they got what was called bundling. Well, what got bundled was all the fees being paid by the participants, and that became pretty ugly. Plans can cost up to 1.5 to 2.5% to participants, that they lose from their investment returns. So with the Radish plan, all the setup administrative fees are paid by the employer. The only expense, that participants have is the investment cost, in a money market, which is something like 0.05 or 6%. That's it. That's the only thing, participants are having as a cost.
Are there limits on what can be put in and what can be taken out?
The going in can be a lot more than employers are going to want to contribute, without getting into specifics. For one max would be 25% compensation. Well, we're not going to hit that. We are recommending setting a minimum withdrawal of $500. If you want to take money out, rather than being able to take maybe $50 out because you want to take your significant other out to dinner, we want it to be used for more meaningful purposes.
And what's the reaction been to this new
Well, everybody
idea
we
of
presented
yours?
to, they've really been extremely excited for it. I wish we could do a demo, on this that shows how it engages the participants because it's very powerful, the engagement with participants. And so everybody we've showed it to, Corey, who recommend benefits to employers and financial advisors, who have clients, and then also to employers, have all been extremely excited about it once they see it. So it potentially is going to become a big thing.
What about an employee or employer who has a pension or a traditional 401k? Is this still something that they could do?
It is something, yes. They could do it in addition to a pension and or 401k. So, it's really targeting pretty much a different audience than what the 401k is, and doing rewards in a different way.
So talk about that. You said rewards. What's an example of how someone could be rewarded and it would become a radish?
I'll give you an exact example. We have a trash removal business starting a plan effective January 1st. Their drivers are going to earn 5 radishes every day. Their laborers are going to earn 4. So that's $5, $5 and $4. So it's going to amount to, around $1,000 or so a year, that they're going to earn. That's a real example. Now, the owner might also add more to it, for performance related. They could incentivize them, say, hey, look, safety or whatever, this is a hazardous business. They've had workers who have been killed and injured. There are all kind of additional ways other than just staying employed that they can reward them as additional radishes.
Is there any concerned that a new administration might affect this? We know when new administrations come in, sometimes tax codes change. Is there any fear of that affecting the Radish plan?
I have very little because there's broad support under both parties that something like this is needed, to help these type of employees. There have been legislative things enacted, to try and do that. Many of the states, as you probably are aware, New Jersey being one of them, are mandating that employers must have a plan. And 17 states are requiring that now, and generally what they do is they set up a payroll deduction IRA, which is a good idea, but again, that's all employees having to take money out of their paycheck to do that. So, and the tax impact on this, when we're talking about the billions of dollars are being thrown into whatever and trillions, it's pretty minimal, what it'll be compared to other type of programs.
So this would satisfy that requirement if a state does have that requirement of supplying that.
Yeah, this would be an alternative that an employer could do that would satisfy the state mandate, but they also could do it in addition to the payroll deduction plan. They could do both, that they could give employees the opportunity to take money out of their paycheck and go into payroll deduction, which is a nice, simple, easy plan. But they also could, do a Radish plan that enabled employers to do something more than that for the employees. So it's pretty neat. I'm very excited about it.
All right. Well, Ted Benna, founder of the Radish Plan, thank you very much.
Okay.